thinking. Watch the YouTube videos, listen, write down something for discussion, likes and dislikes. That's actually a really good one. So raise your hand if you did the homework. Oh, right on. Okay, so Nate, do you want to share? No, okay, okay. Do you want to share any likes, dislikes?
Of the podcast?
Yeah.
Or
yeah, technical
yeah, I
or
listened.
non-technical. Okay.
I'm trying to find the episode that I listened to, but it was one of the Mauna Kea interviews, and I really liked it, considering I believe it was done in the field. So the quality was, I mean, from a sound quality perspective, it was pretty good, considering it was done out in the field, and an uncontrolled environment. And I do like the interviewer's way of giving the speaker or interviewee a lot of space so they can talk, and then kind of not pressing with all the questions, but just kind of letting the conversation flow.
Yeah, because it's so Nanea, who's on here, you can see her. Wave, Nanea. She did the interview. She had a car, and she had people come in the car, and she had one microphone with and we'll show you the pieces that go with that, and she'll show you, and handed the microphone, from person to person instead of two microphones. And in my opinion, it did sound really good. It had not much noise, because I think because Mauna Kea was cold at the time, you didn't have the AC blasting into the microphone, which can be a thing. So in the future, be careful of that. But yeah, it worked out, and I had to cut out the pieces of handing over the phone, because you'll hear bumps and you'll hear a big space, so that has to be cut out. So we're gonna go over those things, but yeah, thank you for your comment. Cool, aloha. Do you want to? Yeah.
So I listened to the.
What? Sorry, I'm gonna stop you. Can't hear you. I think your microphone is on your computer and not on your headphones. This is actually a good lesson. Go ahead. Nope. No. I think you got. Oh.
I just unplugged the headphone. Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. I'm very tech challenged. This is a perfect example.
This is a good example. Yeah.
I'll figure that. So, okay, I'll start off with, I couldn't find the YouTube videos because I don't really know how to do that on YouTube. I don't do that. But I did listen to the Mo'olelo for Ka'ahupahau, in part because that's where I trace genealogy, and I've worked on that Mo'olelo in other projects. What I liked is that we have our traditional mo'olelo for Wahipana represented, and it's in a short format, which I think is easy to utilize for things like class lessons, which I could see myself easily doing. What I didn't like was very small. I thought that the narrator, who has a really nice voice, spoke a little bit too fast, like he was trying to rush through the story, and would have liked it to just slow down just a tad. And when I was looking through the different mo'olelo, I noticed that a lot of the ones that were the sources are like Westerveld and Fornander are Western sources. And as someone who spent a lot of time looking at Hawaiian authors from the newspaper, one of the things I would like to see more of is utilizing some of our own sources rather than the Westervelt and Fornanders, because there's a lot of issues with their translations. Although the Ka'ahupahau story I know comes from Pa'ahana Wiggins, which was Mary Kawena Pukui's mom. And so that one, if I'm remembering correctly, is done a little bit better in the translation and the content and doesn't have that very Western kind of bent to it. So like I know like reading like Nathaniel Emerson, he refers to mo'o as witches, which is a very Victorian European interpretation of what a mo'o is. So overall, I was very happy, and I thought the sound quality was really good. I like the more traditional pahu drum intro, that it kind of lent not just a Hawaiian feel for going into the mo'olelo, but something that was also like time appropriate because it's a traditional story with kind of traditional musical accompaniment. I thought was really well done.
Thank you. So we're going to go into the music part when we talk about editing. So I will say that for later. Slowing down, that's interesting because we actually told him to speed up his talking. And I think that's just also a preference, but that's good.
That may be.
That's also good to note, though. He is Ha'alilio Solomon. So he has
he's
nice
awesome.
voice. Very nice.
And you know what? One of the things that I should mention, because it's so glaringly grating, like when you watch local newscast, is to hear somebody properly pronounce names and place names and not stumble over it is just like ear candy. It was so nice to hear somebody not mispronouncing or stumbling through the syllables. I mean, and Ha'alilio is awesome. So that was very noticeable in a good way.
I also want to point out that I think there were about 4 of those that came from that Emerson, that was our first ever narrated stories and stories in general. And then we, and she was on here before, but we did, I think, 8 from she was on here. Ka'ialani, she has not baby books, kids books that they took and translated from the newspaper. And anyways,
that's awesome.
Point is that we're looking for more. I have a hard time finding people to provide that to us.
I am more than happy to help with anything I can. I this is what I do in my daily life, so okay. I'm happy to work with you all on that.
Okay, I'll hit you up later. Kanoi, shall we move on? Kanoi, do you wanna?
I listened to the Legal Observers one, a part of the Mauna Kea series, and it was really good quality, I felt, for it being at Pu'uhuluhulu, because it's in a car. I felt like I would expect more reverb or like echoing, and then it was one of the shorter ones. Like I've listened to like the Ohekapala podcast, and it was longer, and so it was cool to see that they ranged through a lot of different times, because I was asking that question last week about what do you cut out. So like, was that all the content that you got, Nania? Was it only 1.5 hours worth?
Well, it kind of all depended like on people's like comfort levels. Like some people are like, like they wanted to tell more, and then some of them kind of was just like, oh, that's it, that's all I got, and they weren't as comfortable recording because it was like their first time. But actually I feel like the shorter ones that I got up at Pu'uhulu were better ones. Not to say whatever, but
and also like I didn't cut. Most of the stuff she recorded was just like everything. There were some mess ups, like 2 or 3 of them out of the 16 had mess ups, but that was all of it basically, what you're hearing. So we didn't cut as much. There's actually one coming out this Sunday that has a lot of cuts. But this is when it comes down to being prepared and knowing what you're going to ask, so that you don't have to cut. You don't have to do all that editing. So, yeah.
There was a part where she was talking about some of the process from 2015, and then Nania like corrected. I was like, that was actually, she was referring to 2019. Was that an edit or was that during the whole time? Because it was really smooth. Like I replayed it and I was like, wow, I can't tell if that was added in or if that was in the time of the interview where she was like, oh, that's actually 2019 and not 2015. I don't know if you remember because it was like a year ago. So
Yeah, I think it was just, yeah, all the way through. Like actually most of my podcasts, it's pretty much all the way through. Like Nohea just has to cut like maybe
The
2 or
intro
3
part.
parts, something like that, but
The warm-up
not
section.
a lot.
Yeah. Thank you. Did anybody else do homework or had any comments and wanted to provide edit comments? Sorry, go ahead. Luana, I think you're on mute.
Okay. I just had a question. I didn't know, so I downloaded the app, and we were asked to rate the interviewer, the podcast, and comment, but I couldn't figure out how to do that.
Oh.
Is it just...
Yeah, not a big deal, but it's more the podcast, so let me bring it up right now. I don't know which one you have, so it depends, but...
Oh, okay, it's on my Apple.
Sorry. The app, you mean? Then you have to go to the App Store.
Yeah.
And then...
Yeah, so I have the app on my phone.
Mm-hmm.
And so do we rate and comment on the app, or is...
Yeah, on the app, not the specific story. Sorry, it wasn't. Does that make sense?
No, I don't know how to do that.
That's all right. I'll I think you have to log in and whatnot. Yeah.
Okay, I'll figure it out. I think I see what you're saying now. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I listened to the podcast featuring Key Project, and I really appreciated that one. I work with Key Project with our Hulia Mahi Alliance project, and then I do different things with Auli'i. So I really appreciated hearing about the history of Key Project in the community. I also liked, how you can have set questions, but the interviewer followed up with, his own questions based on her answers, and it was really engaging. So I appreciated that. Yeah.
Cool. That was done at Key Projects in their hall. There was some reverb that you can maybe hear. Reverb sounds like echo, like it's it's fuller, but it's not as precise. And I'll show you guys. I'm gonna show, and hopefully you can hear the different types of recordings that I've done in the past and what they sound like given the environment. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I guess the other comment I had was, unless I started it late, it didn't seem there was an introduction. It just went straight to Auli'i, so I don't know if
that might have been so. I probably just messed up, or we were still making our intro at the time. Took a long time to figure out our intro, so that might be the reason. And I was like, just get the content out, just get it out. Like,
no, it's beautiful content.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Comments, questions?
I want to comment on something.
Okay.
So I watched the one that had Delia Ulima on it, and it was Nanea who was the interviewer. The reason I picked that one is because Delia and I are really good friends. We've been friends for a long time. And because of our schedules, we hardly ever get to see each other now, and it's really bad. So one of the things I really liked about her interview was that it was very conversational, so I like that style. It's a preference style, I guess, just for me. I like it was very conversational. We got to know more about Delia. I was texting her while I was listening to it. I was saying I didn't know Sunny graduated, and I didn't know that the kind moved in with you folks, and so it was nice to reconnect with her, and we're gonna get together hopefully after COVID stuff is done.
Nice.
But so that I really liked about that part. The other part that I liked is how much information was given and how much like it was. So when we talked last week about the asks and the questions and everything else and sharing that with the person and so they can get ready, and so that sounded, it just gave a lot of weight to it. So I really liked that as well. Question that I had was about, so because I know Delia, I know her husband's name is Fosi, and my mom keeps calling him Fosi because I don't know why. And so in the interview at the very beginning, Linnea says Fosi, and Delia never corrects her. So do you go back in and do you like change that if you find out the information is different, and or do you make like some kind of amendment somewhere else, like a little tag somewhere?
It depends. We can. If Delia was like, "Hey, can you change this name?" and so we can put in the description and go, and I'll show you later on how to do that, and you can change it there, and we can say, and we can add it on as a like voiceover during that time to add it on. So we can. It's just it's a preference thing, like how important is it, and I would hope that they listen to it and want to modify it, and yeah, it depends.
Normally like I'll do, like, I'm just terrible at language, period. So I'll do like the intro or whatever, or just like before we even start recording, I'll be like, okay, if anything I say wrong, we can stop and I'll just do it over. But yeah, I don't know. She didn't correct me. I guess she didn't care.
Yeah, no, literally.
Yeah, a lot of people do that. Like I said, my mom does that all the time. She keeps on calling him that, and he will never correct her either.
Yeah.
Oh.
So it's hard to.
And the only other thing that I wanted to ask was when it came to the recording part, it seems like it's a remote kind of thing, like Nanea is somewhere and Delia is probably at home or in her office or whatever it might be. How did it end up that she was so clear? Like, do you do a sound check before you do the interview with them to check out like how their sound is?
Yeah, I mean, I normally do. Yeah, I tell them that I'm gonna log on like 10 to 15 minutes before if they want to just converse and talk story and then go over things, and then also to do a sound check. I do a sound check and then I do a quick recording, like maybe like a minute or so to just check if it records, and then how's the sound on the recording itself.
And also, you'll see the levels on Squadcast, right? It'll show like where they're at volume-wise, and you can tell them get closer to the microphone or whatever, right?
Yeah, so we've been experimenting. Like at first I was using the recorder device, and then we just switched over to Squadcast, which is I guess it's more of a, like, what is it called?
It's a better Skype, in my opinion. That's what I call it. It's a recorder for online
for
interviews.
Yeah, podcast. I guess it's more podcast friendly.
Yeah.
But the only thing is with Squadcast, you have to have Google Chrome, and it's only accessible via a laptop. So every time I've been scheduling interviews, now I put it in the description of the email, because you don't know what a person's accessibility is. Like if they have, I don't know, if they don't have a laptop or if they don't have Google Chrome, like, some people might not have space on their laptop to download an extra thing, because if they might not even use Google Chrome. But so far nobody, actually I just interviewed somebody yesterday and they actually had a problem with that, but they had enough, they just went to their laptop and downloaded it. But normally people, they read it and they're like, oh yeah, no problem. But I normally ask them over and over and over again, just because I'm kind of paranoid about people not being able to record at that time, because it's kind of harder to reschedule interviews.
Okay, I don't want, did anybody else comment, questions before we move on to the slides? No? Okay, go ahead and interrupt if you do though. So I'm presenting the entire screen, share. All right, so where are we at? Oh, in the middle. All right, here we go. Recording and editing, same thing. We're gonna learn about recording online and in person, and then editing the software, the intro, outro, cutting, and then wave to MP3 on Audacity and Audition. Sorry, I forgot your name. Starts with the N. Nate, can you introduce yourself real fast? Just name and where you're from.
Hi, yeah, Nate Giltoku, originally from Hilo, but on Oahu in Honolulu for a long time. Yeah.
Why do you want to learn? And you already have a podcast, so.
Yeah, I kind of started, but you know, I'm just always trying to improve, so this would be helpful.
What's the name of your podcast?
On the Rock.
On the Rock. Okay. I think everybody else we've introduced in the last class. So speak up if I think I saw everybody's names that we had last class. All right, we're gonna move on to recording. I'm rushing because I think we have our 40 left. Okay, so just some perspective on how long this whole process takes. So if you do it yourself, right, you don't have to schedule anything, but when there's a guest or two guests or in person, it usually takes more time to do the scheduling, especially when you have to meet in person, you have to figure out where and all that stuff. It usually takes some time to do that. Preparing questions, if it's yourself, you kind of just like talk and it's not a big deal. You kind of have like some bullet points on what you want to hit. But if there's guests, depending on the amount of research, and this goes to, I think, the Delia thing, or a podcast, there was a lot of statistics that were provided, and we asked her all these questions, like we want to know percentage of Hawaiian kids that are in foster care, and we said, like, these are the things we want to know. Can you, get those things ready so that you can spout them out during the interview? So connecting equipment, again, it depends. When it's online, it's usually a lot easier than doing it in person, and you'll learn both processes. And the reason it says an hour or more, if it's like one person and one microphone, then it's easy. If you got two microphones, you got four microphones, you got what is it? The transmitters, I forgot what they're called, but we have them. The pieces that connect to your shirt, like all that stuff, you gotta test it, you gotta put the batteries in, you gotta make sure it's charged, all those little thingies that add up in time. So we're assuming a 30-minute interview, and you usually just press play or record, and you go all the way through. Editing, this is just removal of easy noise, cutting, adding the intro and outro, and then doing some amplification. Again, it depends on how many guests there are, because that'll be the amount of files that you have to add on top of each other. We're going to go through these details, so don't worry, but I just want to give you some of the breakdown on time. Production is usually the same, about 30 minutes depending. And then publishing, which is putting the MP3 file onto the host and adding the description, adding the picture, adding the tags, all those little things that we do is usually about an hour. So here's the breakdown, the total breakdown of time from 2.5 hours to 5 hours. Because usually, right, I don't do the interviews, so the interviewers has about 2.5 hours worth of work, and then I have about another 2.5 hours worth of work to break it up. So I recommend that you work as a team, that you find somebody to do this with you, because 5 hours for each podcast is a lot. If you have that kind of time, it's fine. But for those that don't want to spend 5 hours a week or whatever doing this, the more you do it, the faster you're going to get. But in general, it takes time. And this is all the early learnings. Sorry, this thing is like, can you see this? Go away. I don't know how to make that go away. But it says noise equals 1 hour or more. So if you're got wind and you've got like barking dogs and all those little things coming over, it takes at least an hour more to cut the little pieces out. Lots of it's another hour. Stopping because you don't know where your questioning is going, an hour or more. So again, this goes back to be prepared, because it'll save you a lot more time in the background, in the post-processing. Be prepared, communicate as much as possible. All that stuff is well worth the time, instead of post-processing, adding 3 more hours to your day to do this. Okay, we're on in person. So I wanted to get this, first talk about the equipment, and go into more detail a little bit after this. But the cheap version is you have headphones. You have to have headphones. You have to have a laptop or smartphone with a recording app. You have to have some type of free software to do the editing. And like Nate said, he uses Audacity. I use Audacity. And then you can use a free platform such as Anchor to upload your podcast. The Pro is cheap, and also you have a WAV format. And the con is you could have noise, and it's really hard to remove. And with Anchor, and I guess this isn't true, but you don't really own the file. That's not coming from your source. But what Nate does is he does the post-processing. He saves his WAV file, and then he uploads it. So now you kind of have 2 copies, your own copy, and then the one that sits on their platform. So I called it mid-range. This middle column here, it's about $200 to $500, and we're going to go over like the individual costs of these things. But XLR mic, and this is in person, yeah. So you're out in the field and you want to talk to somebody and interview them. You need an XLR mic or USB, but probably XLR is usually the best option for this mid-range, and a mixer, recorder/mixer. We're going to go over that. A DAW, I don't know what DAW stands for, but a DAW is Audacity or Audition or Reaper, or there's other types, but basically it's the software that edits the audio file. The Pro is you can get rid of noise or more easily, and the con is you don't have loudness, and I'll go over that one. But when you have a podcast, some of them have really, and I'll show this later, but you have like loud, and then it gets really soft, and you can't hear, and you have to put up the volume, and then it gets loud again. It's really irritating. I dislike it. So what you want to do is make sure that your levels, and it's called loudness, also normalizing. There's lots of terms for this, but basically you want to get the talking to be the same height throughout, and at a level where it's not low, right, or peaking, but at a 75-80% level. And I'll show that later. But that's super important, because nobody wants to keep pressing up and downs on their volume while they listen. And then on the high range is about 500 plus. A good XLR microphone, a recorder, mixer can be the same one. Windscreens, pop filters. I love RX7, so any DAW, an RX7, which I'll show you guys during the noise feature, but it removes fancy kind noise. And then the Pro is you get more options to remove noise, and doing the loudness makes it it's really a time saver. So you get more capability in least amount of time. But of course, the con is that it costs a lot of money. So Nanya is going to go show you how to connect these things, but these are literally the items that we have, that we use. So our AT4041 is $250, H4 Pro, $200. All these, I have the links here if you guys want to go check it out and buy them. You know, there's tons of resources out there that compares microphones. We have probably 5 different microphones, and this one is, it wins every time, in my opinion. I love it, and you're going to hear it in action. And some of you guys have heard it in action, but compared to some of the other microphones. Headphones are like, you need headphones. It can be cheap headphones to, you know, super expensive ones. What happens with headphones is you can hear the noise, you can hear the signal, the voice, right? And you want voice to be way higher than your noise. And you can, when you're on the online version, you don't want to hear the person talking and then it going back into the microphone of your computer. That's why you connect it to your head, because that voice isn't kind of like a repeat. It's not like, it's not necessarily an echo, but you can hear it coming back onto the audio file. You don't want that. Windscreens, that's the little fuzzy thingy. Super, super, super helpful when you're outside. Hand grip, just make sure, the hand grip and the shock mount, just make sure that you don't get the bumping of the microphone, because then you have to go and remove those manually. Batteries and SD card. Okay, demonstration. All right, this is, Nanya is going to demonstrate how to connect stuff. So, Nanya, you ready? Oh, stop presenting.
Oh yeah, can you present?
Me present?
Yeah.
Wait, how do I present? I'm so confused.
Sorry, I never used this.
No, just show on your mic. We can see you, so you can show us how to do it.
Oh, I just put it for the next slide.
Oh, so confused.
But
Okay.
so I just share the screen.
Okay, 1 second. Press button. Press button. Present now. Your entire screen. Entire share. Okay. Okay. Present. Go ahead. There you go.
This is a screenshot of one of my Instagram posts that says podcast Bay Essentials. But so this is all of my equipment that I use since I'm in the field right now. And in the next slide, it has a different slides of how to do certain things with the equipment. Oh, crap. I messed up. But yeah. So basically, you just want to make sure that you connect your microphone, your headphones, and recorder inside of the slots. And then next slide.
Wait. Wait, are you going to show literally how you connect these things? Sorry, we didn't communicate.
No.
Okay. Let me just this is the microphone here, and here's the XLR cable. The XLR connects to your H4 Pro, Zoom H4. You just like literally connect the two. This is the hand grip and the shock mount, and it goes, and this goes, you just stick it in there right in the middle, and so therefore it's not touching anything hard. These are like little rubber pieces that keep it from bouncing. This fuzzy goes on top of the on the top if you're outside. I actually put it on the inside too. The headphones connect on the left side, and actually that'll be in the next thing. The SD card goes in on the the right side. And that's all the connections that are on that. Is that right? Yeah.
I can send you guys a video after.
Okay. Recording levels, we'll go through that. Signal to noise ratio. I kind of went through that, but I'll point that out. Phantom power, wave, start recording. Okay. So here are our videos. Do you want to talk through this, or should I just play it, Nania?
You can just play it.
Okay. Oh, what the heck? Play.
Okay, first we're gonna change to phantom power. So side.
You can make it
menu,
bigger too if you want.
And then go to use the scrolly wheel right here. Go to input. Then go scroll down to phantom. There it is. On 48 volt.
Can you guys hear?
That's it.
So phantom power is what's needed for an XLR microphone. The microphone needs power to basically take in your voice and convert it into a wave signal or wave file. So when you first get the Zoom, if that's what you're going to use, that's how you turn on the phantom power for each microphone. If you don't turn it on, you'll know because it won't record anything. It'll record, but you won't hear it. Okay.
Okay. When you record, make sure you press the 1 here. See that? Oh, that's not working. But
Sorry, I don't know why the
that
audio is not working.
And then change the recording levels right there. So the red.
We can send you these slides after too, but it goes step by step on, you know, what she's doing and basically what it shows on the first slide. So she's just showing the different inputs and how the volume should be if you get this certain device. This is one of the more affordable recording devices that you can get like on Amazon.
That should be 44.1-.
Yeah, actually, and why did it do that? So what I'm saying here is when you record, and you can't see anything now, but the left and right is left and right channel. When you have one microphone in it, it'll be, 1 or 2, but when you talk, you'll see this thing like fluctuate, which is the levels of the volume coming in or amplitude. And so what I was saying is you want to stay between 24 and 12 on these levels. You don't want to go beyond 0 because that's peaking. And once you go beyond 0, what's the right word for this? It is cutting off the tops, and you can fix it, but it's not fun to fix. And you need RX7 to fix it. You can't fix it with Audacity. Or maybe you can, but I'm not aware of it. So when you talk, you want to listen, or you want to look at this and make sure that your voice is between 24 and 12, and that when you hand it over to the next person to talk, that they're in 24 and 12. And in the next one, it'll show you, some people talk soft, some people talk loud, So you want to change the levels so that although the soft talker can be down below 24 and you're above 12, you can change the levels to get you guys both within the 24 to 12 range. And there's the 48 volts for the phantom power. And what I was saying here, which is to turn up the volume right here. And this is your headphone. See the little headphone jack symbol. To turn up the volume so that you can hear your, you can hear the noise, you can hear the voices. And so I said to turn it up to like 80-ish, you know, plus or minus 10 on that one, but not too loud where you blow out your ears. But you want to be able to hear everything, because when you post-process it, you're going to be amplifying things that you don't want. So when you are in a really noisy place and when everybody is silent and not talking, you'll see this fluctuate because that's the noise. Some of the fluctuations are usually around this line right here. I don't know what that is, like 40. Sometimes it's even louder. And so when it's louder and it's close to 24, or even when it's like louder than this line right here around 40, you got to go somewhere else, because your voice and that noise is going to combine and you can't hear what they're talking about. So this is like when you're figuring out a place to go and record, it's important because you might have to move. Yeah. And so I will talk about this, but this 44.1/16, this is 44.1 kilohertz, 16, I think it bits per second or something like that. I like to record in 24. So this is how many points along the signal that you'll be able to see to change. So once you have more bits, you can do more granular surgical type of fixing of that signal. So you don't want it to be huge, because then that's just more, you know, things that it's a bigger file. But you don't want it to be so small that you can't modify it or make it better, sound better. And, you know, it's a podcast, so it's up to you how big the file you want to have, but it's not like you're doing you know, a music or something that's going to be, you know, officially published and you are super advanced at this. So that's also in the settings. I did not share how that's done. But if you get this, I can probably make another video. Just let me know and I'll figure it out how to get you that. Okay.
So press the 2.
So this is how you change the input.
Go up or down.
The input levels.
To change the levels, or press the 1 and do the
on
same.
On your left side, you can kind of see that the microphone is connected on the left side, and that's channel 1. So once you press channel 1, which I'm doing right now, you see it says input 1 level. You press it, and you want to, on the right side, it'll have it's buttons. So you can go up and down, like I was saying. You want to have it within 24 and 12, depending if you're a loudspeaker or a soft speaker. So that's what I'm doing here, pressing 1 and
first you have to
there.
Menu, input, and change your 1-2 link to off.
Okay. What I'm doing here is I'm turning 1-2 link off so that you can do the 1 individually and the 2 individually. If they're linked together, 1-2 is linked together, then you are basically changing levels of both 1 and 2 instead of 1 or 2. So that's just the settings change.
It's probably on at the beginning, but make sure you put it off. Then.
So that's those movies. Where are we at? Oops.
Okay.
Okay, sorry, Nanya, if there's anything else that was missed.
It's honestly really easy. Like it's super duper easy. It's kind of like back in the days when they had like the pink Sony cameras to use. It's super just press the button and go, and you can't really screw up on those. I think the more expensive machines are harder to use.
Yeah, and this one's pretty like standard issue, the H4. I've looked at others and the costs are higher and the capabilities are less. This also gives us the flexibility to do, you know, two separate microphones. And at the top of it, you'll see the little X thingy, and you can do like, without adding the microphones in, you can do an interview that way, but the sound quality just isn't as good. So I don't recommend it, but it's a possibility if you want to do it that way. Yeah. There's tons of online setting classes or, you know, YouTubes and stuff like that. But yeah, if you guys get it and you're like, oh, I don't know how to use this thing, go ahead and let us know. We can help out. Okay, going. Does anybody have questions? Let me stop there. Okay. I will go back to the slides. So, if you want to connect your setup, and Nate talked about this on how he had a mixer. So you have the XLR microphones, and so if you have an XLR microphone, you can connect it to your laptop and do the recording there. You know, it's just not as portable, but you can do it that way. But you have to have a mixer in the middle. So you can do that with a USB through that H4, or you can get a cheaper mixer and to basically convert an XLR signal into a digital. I don't know if it's a digital. It's probably an analog converted into a digital signal that goes into Audacity. I don't know. I have to verify that one. Might be making that one up. Or you can do a USB microphone to your laptop. But what you have to do in Audacity is, here's the sampling rate. Go into preferences. So it's like from Audacity in here. Actually, I have Audacity right here. Audacity, edit preferences, and there. You have in recording. Sorry, nope, I was wrong. Quality. You change this to 44. There's smaller numbers, bigger numbers. Like I said, if you want more data or less data, you can go up and down. But this is what I prefer, and I've been told to use. Is 44.1 kilohertz and 24 bit. So you change that, and you're basically ready to record. And you just press this record button. But make sure that your microphone says, and I have it here. Sorry, I'm skipping all over the place. Make sure that your input says the microphone or the name of the microphone or H4, H6, depending on the name of your microphone or whatever's connected. So there's some high level how to connect to Audacity if that's the way you want to do it without the H4 because it costs $200. Okay. Nanea, you want to do, oh, sorry, online equipment setup. So again, the free version, you have to have headphones with your laptop or desktop, and the free version is to use Skype. The pro is that it's cheap. The con is that Skype doesn't do WAV files. It only does MP3 or MP4, some type of compression. You don't want compressing, so I don't prefer Skype. And it's possible with bad internet connection that Skype will just drop off. And then you gotta start all over. And or it'll be jumbled because the internet connection isn't good. So that's the free version. You get what you pay for. Oh, sometimes it works out perfectly and it can be, flawless. But we've had to interview people all over the world, so it's hard to be consistent and have that guarantee, I guess, to having it less faulty. Mid-range, and I have this here, this USB microphone. There's so many microphones. You can pick one out. We've had one USB microphone, which is I think it was the Blue Yeti, something like that, the Black Yeti. I didn't like it. And I know Ikaiko will tell you the same thing. We didn't like it. But that might be just, it was a $100 microphone, not the $200 kinds. There's all kinds of YouTubes out there. This link right here will tell you kind of their Castos descriptions of, best, under $100, all that stuff. But what you can also do is just use headphones without the USB microphone. Like I've said, I'm like a huge fan of Squadcast. There's a $9 option, which is I think it's like, oh, I have it right here. No, I don't. It's like an hour per. It's an hour per month, or 4 hours. It's 4 hours per month, I think, to the $38 per month, which is, I think, like unlimited amounts of recording. So it depends on how much interviews you do, and which will determine how much per month it'll cost. I like this because you get the WAV file. You have progressive uploading, which, that whole, if the internet is bad or possibly not good, then it'll pause and it'll save, and it takes chunks of files of your audio file and it uploads it, and then it pieces it all together at the very end. So you don't get cut off, the whole thing doesn't get destroyed, and you can continue with your interviewing if you have bad internet. It's not free. High range, good USB microphone, any XLR mic with mixer and headphones. Squadcast, same as mid-range plus, which means all of these bonuses, plus you can have multiple guests, like, more than 2 people talking, and then quality audio. Of course, it's expensive, and actually I don't recommend the high range because then it becomes more time consuming. So we do the mid-range on the online, but in the in-person, we kind of are on the high range. So you want to demonstrate how you use Squadcast?
Can I do share screen?
Yeah. Go ahead. Can you see it?
Is it going?
Not yet. I heard a noise.
Is it sharing?
No.
God.
In the bottom, it says present now. Oh, there you go. There it is.
Okay. I don't use this Google thing. So you guys can see my screen now? Okay. So I actually did a little video if you guys couldn't see, but okay, so for Squadcast, I just go on squadcast.com. What's nice about Squadcast is you can record put the dates for the interviews on here. And then the past interviews, it'll go like that. And they save all of the recordings in here, in the actual website. So it's nice. You don't need to, like, you know, if you accidentally get it deleted on your account. It sends them their own invite, and you can copy it, add it to calendar, delete sessions as well. I totally forgot what was something, but yeah. And then just if you guys were wondering how do we collaborate, so we have our shared drive. We have all of our stuff. This is mine, and then Mia stuff. This is what I recorded, but so mine's is recording. I just organize it through the different months. And I'll do May. So this is like the people that I interviewed per month. And then this is how normally it looks like. I ask for the 3 pictures. After I record, I do just take the best recording from Squadcast and put it into their folder. And then like I shared with you guys, this is like the general format that I go over. That's pretty much it.
Nadia, show them how you create the Squadcast.
Oh, okay. So, podcast.
And actually, send me a session right now. So
you just go add session, then you just go to use it. I normally set it to whoever's regular name. Then go save session. It'll pop up. Then you go join. It'll send everybody like a separate thing. So this is how it'll look like when you go in.
Wait for me.
Oh, okay. And then it'll go join session, and you'll hear when people come in and out because they go ting.
Can you see me? Oh wait, I gotta press join session. Check. Microphone. Hello?
Yeah.
Am I reverbing? Hello? Can you see me?
I don't know, but
Your network disconnected. Rejoin session. Oh, you know why?
it may be because we're on the whatever, but
Yeah.
so it'll have all these different things, so you can just change it. It only records audio, but you can see your person. But if they feel uncomfortable recording with the video, you can just turn it off and just shows where you're at. Then it'll also show the. Sorry, it keeps bonking us out. I think because we're like doing 2.
It's because I'm logged in as you. Shucks.
Oh, but yeah, so the audio levels are going to be on your right-hand side, so you can see when people are talking or like the levels. But so normally I just tap record and I'll have a little conversation with them, and then after I'll go back and listen to it and see if it sounds good enough. Yeah. Okay. That's it, yeah. Okay. And then
And you use equipment wise.
And then I put it into the Google Drive so that Nohea can edit it.
What do you usually use your headphones and that's it? Is that right?
Yeah, so I just use my headphones and that's it. ask them in the email before we interview if they have headphones. Some have used just the regular Apple, the stock headphones. Some have used like the, professional kind of headphones. I honestly don't even think with Squadcast it matters because the audio seems to be very good from what Nohea says and like from the podcast that I've listened to.
What did Delia what was she wearing?
Delia had her own setup, but because she does music and all types of stuff with her husband, so she was actually way, way, way more prepared than other people, because normally like people just have like the regular stock Apple headphones that they comes with their phone or just stuff like that. Delia was you normally don't have somebody who's super prepared and comfortable with talking and all that kind of stuff, so that's like 1 in a million. Just kind of think of everybody as not having anything.
Can you see, sorry, go back on Squadcast and can you see me now? I'm on, but I have to mute, but you can share your screen with everybody. There you go.
So this is how it looks like when you're recording, but sometimes people don't like to have the camera on, so it just looks like that. And the audio levels are there, and then you just tap record. I can't do it. Oh, it's hard. So you just tap record, and it records down there, and stop it, and it saves in the Squadcast thing, and then you can just listen to it. I just download and listen real quick.
Okay. Is there questions? That was really quick. I guess once you're in the session, right, the email's sent, there's links sent, you press the link, and then you're looking for the recording levels to make sure they're like 80% is not peaking, not too high, not too low. And then you, like Nania says, she does like a 1 minute recording just to verify that it's going to work correctly.
Yeah, the junk thing about podcasts is you can't control their levels. Like the recording device that we have, it's kind of like you just hope and pray that their audio continues to stay high. I mean, but you can also, like, if you see their levels going lower, you can kind of stop them. I mean, normally you don't want to stop them because it's disrespectful, but you can stop them and be like, hey, the audio levels are kind of low. Can you like rewind back and we can do it again? And then that's when you have to tell your editor, tell yourself, okay, it's so-and-so time, I got to go back and edit it, splice it back together.
So Kainoa asked a question, need multiple people connected. So you basically answer that question with they need to kind of level their own selves and you need to communicate for them. Okay. Okay, we are moving on. Where am I? Wait, I gotta share my screen. Share screen. Okay. All right, we're on how to eliminate noise. I go through this in the YouTubes, but good microphone technique is essential. Bumping the microphone, like literally like tapping it, will create this huge bump. And you don't want that because besides it's annoying noise, what happens with leveling and loudness, if your bump is way up here and your regular noise is here, it won't, this will still stay low, and when you upload it to a podcast platform, it'll see that as your high peak, and it won't amplify anything down here. So you have to literally take that little piece out, and make sure that so that everything is kind of up here can be all increased, you know, so it can be the same volume the whole time. Again, reverb is echoing. I have, in one of my things, I show you the soundproofing material that I have in my room that we do the professional recordings in. It gets rid of the bouncing of your voice onto walls and then coming back, and you can't really, you know, professionals can hear it, or, you know, at least over the basics can hear it. It's somewhat irritating. It just doesn't sound as clear. So if you want to make your own soundproofing material, you know, and you want to do lots of recordings in your room, then I would do that. You don't have to. Plosives, we have these little filters. They're called pop filters. So the P's and T's and stuff like that, plosives, it literally comes out of your mouth and creates like that bump. It's a bunch of air that goes into the microphone, and so it thinks it's like high volume, but it's, you know, just a P or T. Anyways, with a pop filter, it stops that air from going into the microphone, and you don't want that. So it's like $5 to buy a pop filter. So again, this is all like when you're in the field or when you're doing like professional recordings, this is things you want to watch out with, or bring the microphone away from your mouth. When it's away from your mouth, you don't get the full quality of your voice. It sounds like it's far away. So you want to be as close as possible, but at the same time, you don't want the, you know, the way you speak to impact the waveform. Air conditioning, again, like the air coming out, it goes onto the microphone, air conditioning, fans, those things, and wind, and it totally disturbs the waveform. It's very hard to remove, very hard to remove. I've had to trash a few things because of air conditioning. Tapping, like some people have pens in their hands, and having to remove, like, click, 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 click. You have to do it. You have to do it. So tell people not to have the pens in their hands or whatever it is that's making consistent noise. That's why you have your headphones on. That's why you have to listen for these things before you start, because again, post-processing, you don't want to do it if you don't have to. Recording levels, we talked about that. You want to stay between 12 and 24. On the full range of 0 to 100, I call it about 80%, because they use different numbers depending on the software or the hardware that's being used. So I like to stay around 80%. Where should you record? This is all about noise. If there's dogs, there's airplanes, wind, people talking, traffic, don't do it. Just find somewhere quiet. If you were to listen to some of the past recordings, Iolani Palace on the Queen Liliuokalani one, but you could hear birds, you can hear the wind, you can hear rustling of the leaves, and it actually sounds pretty good. You could hear traffic, but we were kind of deep inside, kind of by the archives behind the palace. So it wasn't like on the street side. and there wasn't that many people walking by, but that's one recording. You can hear the noise, but it sounds good. Save Our Sherwoods, that was at my house with the small amount of air conditioning on and the audio the panels, the soundproofing panels, and our good microphones, so that you can listen to that one and hear the differences. On the phone, the Oregon one, it was beginning of this year. I forget the name of it, but it was a language one. That was on the phone versus, what's the one that you did? Forgetting his name. Keanu Sai. That was on the phone as well. And that was our first phone call. And Nanya did it. Literally phone connected to the H4 Pro. Right? Or was that Skype? Nanya.
It was on
Oh, that was
Skype.
Skype. But it was
No, Hannah said that Skype sucks
it sucks.
for editing.
You can listen
But
to it,
for
and that was hours of trying to get the noise out of that. And you listen to it, and that's after noise being removed. So you'll know what I'm trying to say. In the car with window up, that's the ones that Nanya did. Napoleon, Uncle Nappy, Napoleon, Waikiki in front of Anuenue Canoe Club. You'll hear people walking by, some wind, but it's not bad. And that's with our good mic, the fuzzy on, all that stuff. There's one with a warehouse, in a warehouse. That's the one, shoot, I forget the name of it. That's the one you did, Ikaika.
Was that with Nalu Andrade?
Yeah,
Oye Kapala?
Nalu Andrade. Yeah. The house.
He had a Vornado fan going the whole time because he needed to keep his wood dry, and out of respect, I didn't ask him to turn it off. Yeah.
So you can still listen to it, but you can hear the difference if you were to listen to that one. And at work, air conditioner. I was in a huge office building downtown. Like, there's no noise, right? There's these ducks above me, and I didn't notice until after when I'm listening to them. Like, oh my God, it goes, you hear him talking and then it goes silent. Hear him talking and goes silent. I'm like, what is that? It's like a ghost. There's the air conditioner above him blowing air on top of the microphone, and we trashed it. That sucked. So noise, yes, here's examples. All right, we're on to editing. So one time only. You got to get your music. You don't have to do music. Some people want to do music. My story with my music is I had the pool done by my husband at the beach, and we recorded it. And I knew what I wanted, so that was helpful. And I went to all the free places. I went to like places you had to pay for music, and they were nothing like what I wanted. So then I asked my my cousin's girlfriend, who's a kumuhula, to do the pahu. So she went into the studio and recorded, and then we mixed those two together at the right places that I wanted them. So that's how it took me probably 6 months to figure out music. So I provided, like, you guys can see my screen, right? Okay, where are we? Oh no. Okay, so here's one place you can get it, and again, you get what you pay for. Like, I didn't go this route because there's nothing that I wanted. But if you have here's the gist of what I'm trying to say. Make your own music. It's easier. You get what you want. You don't have to deal with license or I don't know, the commons thingy, what is it called? Creative Commons, royalties, all that stuff. Music is very questionable. So I downloaded this one. You can download it and then you can buy it. It's supposedly free on this free website. You gotta buy it. So it's never free. But here's, can you hear that? Can you hear that? Can anybody hear that? I just want to make sure. Okay, maybe it's no. It sounds terrible. It doesn't sound like anything that you actually want to have. And maybe I'm being, over, and I'm assuming that you guys know what you want and you want something that sounds professional. And maybe this is fine for you. But if you want something that is, you have like an image in your mind of what you want, you can always find a friend to do it. There's lots of friends that make music, or, but you don't have to do it. So here's a place, you can listen to it and you can then decide if you want to go this route. But I looked for months looking for music that I could use, and all these free places that weren't free. I just decided it's no longer worth looking for something that isn't there.
Kanai said if you want to be able to share audio on Google Meets, it's better to share the Chrome tab than sharing the screen. It should give you the option when you click share screen.
Oh, wait, share. Wait, what am I doing? I'm sharing screen instead of my entire presentation.
So you have to stop sharing now, and then when you go back to click present screen, it should give you the option to present the screen you're looking at, a new window, or a Chrome tab. And if you want to share a video or audio, it's best to share a Chrome tab.
Okay.
I don't know why, but when you share a window, the audio stuff won't play back.
That is very useful. Can you hear that? Okay. I'll give you the link here, and present now. I'm gonna go with entire. Technical difficulties. Stop, because that's really annoying. Okay. So what we do for the intro and outro, this is what we did is, and you can do it different every single way, but this is the easiest way. We created an intro and an outro. We had the music the same for all of them. In our intro, we say the mission, and this is the one that never changes. And so, intro, and then music, and then I have 3 versions because my interviewers do them differently. I have just the music because Nania and Ntiki Kaikatu likes to say the mission and what Native Stories is about in each interview. And then I have one that has a recording that has a mission, and then I can splice it together or merge it together. And then I have an outro. So again, they like to do their outro. And I have one that, for those that don't like to do the outro, I have the voiceover. So I'll show you that in the editing slides. But intro and outro, or any voice recordings, or basically anything that is repeated over and over again for each of your podcasts. And usually there's music, and usually these are things that you're going to talk about. You know, you want them to rate your podcast, you want them to subscribe or go to your website or donate or some type of call to action. People like to put their, what is it called? When people give money, not subscribers. It's not coming to me. But some people get paid to do podcasts, and then they, you know, those people that are paying them get mentioned. Why am I not thinking of the word? Anyways, sponsors. And they'll insert that either at the beginning or the middle or every 10 minutes. Up to you how you want to format that. But we'll give you the basics of how to put that all together. So where am I at? So each recording, and I'm going to show you this, and actually maybe we just go straight into it. Audacity and Audition. Okay, so we're going to show you how to add the files in, listen to each file. So once you've done the squadcast or you've done the in-person, you have a WAV file. You download the WAV file onto your hard drive, and now you can add it to your DAW. And then what I do is I listen to each one individually. I write down all the times that I see something that needs a change, and then I go in and I take out those pieces. If there's consistent noise, and noise is a whole different, like, I think it's our next class on how to remove noise, so I'm not going to go into it, but in general, if there's consistent noise, I actually get rid of it at the beginning before I start editing it, because once you edit it, you could like disrupt the flow of that noise. So that's how I do it. Cut out unwanted audio. Like I said, I literally cut things out, and then I modify the amplitude if needed. Again, if somebody's talking high, another person's talking low, you literally have to bring the low person up to this high person. And every time they talk, right, you have these like ups and downs. You have to take that section and you gotta amplify it. Take the small section, amplify it. So this goes back to do it right the first time and communicate and get your levels correct on your first try, so you don't have to do that. And then once I cut all the pieces, I add in the intros, outros, sponsors, and other snippets. And then I merge into one mono file. And then I deal with the loudness, and that's next class. And then download it as MP3 file. I actually download WAV and MP3, the finished product. So I save the WAV in case I need to do something with it later. Like, I forget who asked that question, but, you know, adding in things that need to have to change. You can do it in MP3 file, but you don't want to do it with MP3 file. You might as well just save it as a WAV file and correctly do it with, instead of adding a WAV to MP3, you wanna do WAV to WAV and then convert it to MP3 again. Okay, so let me literally show you how to do that. So the first step, adding it, and I've already added it in here. This is Audacity. You can go to File, Import, Audio, or I literally just take this and I drag it over and it uploads. So you can see all your files. I'm actually gonna do sorry. So let's see here. Wahine Hula. That was last week's one. So this is these two. Sorry, let me solo this one and solo that one. These two, so you have Nanea on this one. And then you have Wahine Hula on this one. So you can tell that because usually the questioning is small and the person talking is big, but this is downloaded from Squadcast, and you can see the entire file here. Let's see. Oh, you know what? I think I was wrong. This one is Nanea, and this one is Wahine Hula. So all this part right here, okay.
And I'm now residing in Texas.
I'm gonna change to change, stop presenting. Stop it. Stop presenting. And present. Oh, how do I do this? Present now. Chrome tab. No, not Chrome tab, a window. And this one. Okay. Okay, can you hear this?
Aloha Kako, you are listening to Native Stories. Native Stories exist to share the voices of those connected to the land. Our vision is to create a resource for Pilina Ka'eo. And
so I'm going to put Nane on the spot, but this whole thing is an intro, and what you'll hear is Nane messing up at names.
And I'm now residing in Texas. Mahalo nui for joining us on another episode of Native Stories. And today we have Wahine Hula Ka'eo. And Wahine Hula Ka'eo is a ko'okua, or birth and postpartum doula from, oh my god, wait. How do you say it? I'm like so bad.
Wayo
So
sorry.
this happens about 3 other times. So I listen to this whole thing, and then I know, okay, I don't have to cut here and then listen, and then cut here and listen, and then cut here and listen. Listen to the whole thing and figure out where she stops. So.
Okay, so yeah, I am just so stoked. Today we have the pleasure of.
So this is the last time right here. So I literally cut out to probably here. And so I want to. It's obviously someone is talking here, right? That's the audio, and then there's zero talking. And these are really like these are straight lines, which means zero noise. I'm gonna go into noise a little bit, but see this buzzing sound here, or you can see it on the screen, but it's a completely different vibe. I just wanted to show you that this is what an XLR microphone will pick up if there's noise in the background, versus Squadcast, where it'll be a solid line, which is zero. So again, you literally go in and you take out all the pieces and you press right here, I believe. I'm making it up, but you press delete. So I just delete that whole part, and so now it should
from.
Oh, see, that was wrong. And you want to zoom in. I'm zooming in. I'm cutting. Press delete. You want to make sure the timing is right.
Postpartum doula from today.
Okay, I messed up, but the point is that when you're deleting, you want to make sure that you get the timing right, the pause right, and so that it sounds like it's all one cut. It's not pieced together. So I'm literally, you have to highlight both. If you just highlight one, right, if you highlight one, you're only cutting that one. But when you have two people talking at the same time, what happens is if you press delete, that top one moves to the left, and now you're off in timing. So you have to highlight both. Even if it's nothing here, you highlight both and you press delete. So this is how I get rid of things that I don't aren't necessary. Sometimes I'll listen here. So there's stuff, right? Sometimes I'll remove it, and it's Control L to remove it. Sometimes I'll keep it. Sometimes I'll hear Nanea making food in the background. I'm like, oh, that's a microwave. I'll delete that. So you gotta really listen into these thingies, these little pops, and like, what is that?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes, you know, she's just agreeing, but sometimes it's just noise that just doesn't sound right in there. So I will delete the whole thing if it doesn't belong. So the next step, once you get rid of things, so I'm pressing mute here. So these things are not, you can't hear these when I play it. You just hear the blue ones. And actually, this one here is just sorry, some shortcuts. If you press spacebar, it'll play. Okay, it's not playing. I'm not sure what's going on. I think what's going on is that there's a lot of files here and the processing speed is slow. But normally, if processing speed is fine and you have minimal amount of files up, then it'll play. But this one, actually, I wanted to show this one because it's our microphone inside of in my room with the sorry, what am I thinking about? Not the foam, but our soundproofing material. And it's very clear. So maybe I'll show this one during the noise. So say if, for instance, this is all good, and usually at the beginning there's noise. So let's just play with these for now. Okay. Solo. Mute.
Aloha Kak.
So all this right here, right? You don't want any of this. There's two options you can do. You can cut it out, or you can silence it, which is Control L. The other way of looking for that silence is Effects. Where's silence? S for silence. I haven't done this in a while because I usually just use I use shortcuts. Where is it? Watch.
I think it's under generate.
Generate. Oh, there it is. Oh, it's Control O here. That's funny. I think it's Control O and Control L. You can also, I create shortcuts. I think it's under preferences, but I've literally had to create my own shortcuts, so because there's some that I use often. So here it's Control O. So I can make this disappear, right? Generate, silence. Oh, nope, that's wrong. Silence is actually, I'll get to that. That's wrong. That's when you're creating silence. So you're just adding a bunch of empty space there. I don't know where it is. Where is it? I thought it's under effects. Fade in, fade out, sliding stretch, truncate, silence. All right. All right. I'm gonna give up in any second now. Let's call it Control L for now. Because I can't find it. But it's under one of these. All right, so I can either silence it or I can, right? Or I can delete it, which moves everything to the left. I deleted it because I'm going to add in the intro. So I add in my intro, sorry, import audio, it's in this folder, data stories, podcasts, and I have it here. Intro, outro, intro, pahu, hu, intro, outro, simple. You gotta have your own names for the different ones that you have. Okay, so because Nanea does the intro, and so this is where you get really in there. I move track up, and then now you can see it really clearly. So here's my pool, right? It's like, and then here's the drums. You can literally see them. And so what I like to do is I put the, and sorry, one more thing that I do is I combine these two files because this is her talking, Nanea talking and Wahine Hula talking. I combine them into a stereo track so I can move them more easily. So make sure you're at 0, and I add in silence for whatever duration this is, because that's when I have her start talking. So this is 3 seconds. So I'll add in here tracks, generate silence, and then 003 seconds. So see, it moves it over, and now you're aligned so that when this goes, and then she starts talking right there. I'm gonna listen to it. You can,
Aloha kako.
you can, it's up to you on how you want to do it, but that's how I do it. So there's about this much spacing in between, and this is also a piece of noise. So I'll Control L that one, get rid of it. So this is right. This is where the pahu stops.
And Wahine Hula Tail is
and it fades out here. So this fade depends on how much you want to fade. It's all preference, but this fade here, normally, right? It normally looks like this height. Okay. So once you get in, see how it gets smaller and smaller in amplitude. So you can highlight whatever part that you want to fade out and go to effects and fade out. And boom, it just made it smaller. So that's how you do the fade out. So here, right, we want the outro, this outro right here is happening in the middle of the podcast. So that's not good. We have to add in there time so the outro happens at the end of the actual interview. So there's, let's see, at the bottom here, 22 minus 53 minutes. So there's 31 minutes-ish. So I add in here, more silence, generate silence, and 31. I'm just keeping it because it's about, you have to get surgical. So you add in your silence and then you get surgical and you say, okay, when do I want my pahu to start? And I highlighted this section and I'm pressing delete. And so I like to line up when she's done talking with, and then have a fade out of the pahu. So I, kind of just guess and take out little pieces so that it lines up-ish. So you can really get in there by zooming. And the way I zoom is just, I press Control and I use my mouse. That's how I zoom. So that's about right. And it's not perfect, but I just guessed
to
it.
you all out there, and mahalo for tuning in again. Peace.
So that's how I add in my intro and outro. Where are we? Oh, right. Okay. So then, what you see here is this mono file right here, right? Mono says mono here. A stereo file because there's left and right. 44 kilohertz, 24 bits. 44 kilohertz, 32 bits. So what I do is I merge them so that I get one mono file, and the reason why is because it's smaller in size. It doesn't sound as fuller, but it still sounds good. Is not good enough. And when you're downloading podcasts or audio files, you want the thing to upload as soon as possible. I do. So I want the thing to be as small as possible so that it can download as fast as possible. So with this file, and I highlight it, yeah. Okay, I just tap on the blue area here, and then I mix stereo down to mono. So it takes time to do that, this processing period. And then I mix, I'm gonna wait 20 seconds. This also what takes time is the software takes time to go through all this data. So it's not actually, you're not doing lots of like that duration is usually waiting for the software to merge things. And then make stereo track. So you want to combine the full interview. So see, now it's all like, it looks just one long interview. And now what you want to do is you want to combine it with your music, right? Now you have your intro and outro, right? Here's your intro, here's your outro. And what you want to do is you want to combine it together. So again, what am I doing? I'm going to mix it to mono. So we can skip over to here, but basically you're going to see something like this. Once you, and actually there's a whole thing about this, but once it's a WAV file, this is RX7, I pay for this thing. It's easier to do it with RX7 than it is for iTunes. So you just, file, open, or you can literally just, again, pull it over and drag it over, and now it's in here, and you just go file, export, WAV. I do WAV in 16-bit, and then okay, now I have a WAV file, and then I go to MP3, and I go, okay, now I have a WAV file and an MP3 file. That's how I do my editing. And that's just editing. I haven't done noise and I haven't done production. But that's for next class. So this is what it looks like as a WAV file. You'll see, so what you don't see here is, see how this is around like 40%? You get in real close, right? Let's zoom 2 times. That's actually smaller than that. You want this thing, this peak here, and it's so nice. This is a really nice file because it's somewhat of a straight line, but you want that line to be at, like I said before, 80%. And this is in the next class, so you don't really need to pay attention, but production is taking this raw stuff, and now you have to mess with potentially noise, mess with EQ, mess with production, I call loudness, and that's in next class. So let me verify I am on point for the share. Okay, so added in the file, we cut out pieces that were unwanted. We added in the intro and outro. We merged it into monofiles, into one monofile. And then I showed you how, in next class we'll do loudness, and I showed you how to do MP3 on RX7. But also I have in here how to do it with iTunes. So you can watch that. It's free, right? So that's good. And I also go over, I don't know how to do it in Audacity. I read a lot about it, and it seemed possible, but it seemed like a lot of effort. So because I already had it in RX7 and I do all the production in RX7, I don't do it that way. But when I first had this, I did it with iTunes as well. Okay, I want to take questions first, actually, before we move on. That's probably a lot of information. And where are there questions? Questions. I can't. Nothing? That was clean? That was like clear? Understood?
So
Okay.
I have a question. So what you just edited in, that was RX7? That was Audacity?
That was Audacity. The editing was in
Okay,
Audacity.
so is Audition a lot harder? Because I already have Adobe, so I was able to download Audition. Is that much different than Audacity?
Ikaika's going to go over Audition. I have no idea. I've never used Audition because I didn't want to pay for it. And I don't know if you had to pay for it, but Ikaika was saying that it's free for students, I think. So a lot of this stuff, yeah, I try to find the cheapest way around this, but so, okay. Anybody else have questions? How to use Audacity? It's pretty clean, pretty easy. Press the delete button, Control L button, and then you can go into the fancy stuff with the editing or effects. Yeah. So no, yeah, you can do it now. Yeah, you can do your own editing now. Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
Come on. I can do it. I mean, because most of it is just like messing up.
Yeah.
You know, like time after time after time again, and finding your own shortcuts. But I'm thankful for you because I hate editing anything.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Paul, Nate, anybody else? Questions? So your faces, so that's why I'm picking on you. All right. Okay, we can move forward. Ikaika, are you ready? All right. You're on mute, but I will go on mute and you can present. Cool. Go ahead.
Well, hi everybody. Turn my volume down so you don't get the echo. Sorry, I'm in the shipping container office here on the farm, so excuse me if things look a little weird, but we're good to go. So let me start off by presenting my screen. If you guys aren't going to be using Audition with Adobe, you can go ahead and get some lunch right now because it's going to be about 15 minutes. I hope to do it a lot quicker than that. So we'll see how this goes. Give me the thumbs up if you guys can see my screen now. Not yet. Let me see. There. Thumbs up. Can you see my? Oh, here it's loading now. Yeah. Can you guys see my screen? All right. Cool. So we're gonna jump straight into Audition. Launch that. This is my workspace. Usually your assets all get brought into here. Everything that you're gonna be working with gets brought into here. I'll start off by creating a new multi-track session. So new multi-track session. This one I'm just going to name Papa 2 because that's the class we're working on. The nice thing about Audition, zoom in here, is it has these presets for every file. So this one actually already has a preset for podcasting. This is important because there are pre-filters that it applies to each channel, and I'll show you what that looks like when it loads. So in Audition, it actually gives me each channel for the different audio that you might be bringing in. This one is, of course, for the host, interviewer, or interviewee, and then sound effects, and then they also have a slot for music bed. When I import my files, the raw files, you can hit this one up here, or you can do Command I on a Mac. So I just Command I. I already have the files queued up. So these are my 3 files that I'm going to pull in. These are basically the 3 channels, the 3 microphones, essentially. So I'm just going to select all 3 of them to bring in. They load over here into your assets, right? And what I want to do is I actually want to import them into my multi-track session. So the one that says interview, right, will get dragged over and dropped into interview. And you can just basically just drop that in. The host, of course, is going to get dropped into host. And then the sound effects is going to get dropped into sound effects. Then if you zoom in, you want to use this time bar up here to zoom in or zoom out or expand or contract your audio. So you can use your time bar up here to kind of navigate. And then what I'll do is I'll zoom in all the way at the head of the track and I'll line these all up. These are already queued up. I kind of cheated. They're already queued up, but basically you just want to make sure that they're all queued up in the right spot. The nice thing about Audition is opposed to Audacity, I don't have to put silence in to queue up my audio. The app will automatically add silence depending on where you queue up your audio. So for example, if I'm going to cut all this silence out right here, let's just do that. So I use R to cut and V to select. Literally on the keyboard, you use the letter R and the letter V. And it switches your cursor between different actions. This is the easiest and probably the most important tools that you need to use. So I'll hit R and I'll click where I want it to cut. And it'll give me this little clip icon. So with the clip icon, I can drag and expand and contract my clips. And it's basically just clipping audio out of my clip. So the R was used to cut and divide the clip. And these, that you see how the icon's switching, I can actually condense or remove those clips like this. So I can omit this whole clip just by dragging it over. But of course, the easiest thing to do is switch to V, click on it, hit delete, and it's gone, right? So I'm going to Control Z that, so I bring it back, and then Control Z again. And then so my point is, if I delete this and it's gone, when I master these 3 tracks together, even though it looks like there's a giant empty space right here, Audition will just fill that space no matter what. It knows that this clip needs to be lined up here or queued here. So it doesn't automatically drag this clip all the way to the head of the track. It leaves it where it's supposed to be. So let me put those back because that's where they were. So really for me, the most important thing is making sure that I drag the channels into the right places. So I make sure that the 3 different audio files are in the respective channels. And then I make sure that the audio is queued where I want it to be. And just like what Nohea was sharing earlier, this is your music bed. This is our actual drum track. I can mute the other 2 tracks if I want to listen by pressing M here and M here. And I should be able to just get this one to play. Yep, so if you're only working on one track and that's the only one you want to work on, you actually come over here and you double click and it brings up that one channel. And then you can do a lot of your major editing just on this one channel. So I'll zoom in here and basically like this is the poo, and these are the drums, right? So this channel, I know I don't need to edit. If I go into one of the other ones, this one is actually me, my intro and my outro.
Aloha kako, and thank you for listening to Native Stories. We are a mobile and online archive.
Okay, so that one is done. And then in the end, everything's going to get edited, and all the edits that you make are going to be reflected here in your workspace. And this workspace is this file, this one file. So what you want to remember is that even though you might be editing your assets, you don't necessarily have to edit the original file. You're just editing a temporary asset. These 3 files are temporary. If in the end you like the changes that you've done, you can save those changes. But if you don't like the changes that you did to your original files, you don't have to save them. And the Multitrack Mixdown will actually save a new edited version of your original files. So that's kind of why I like Audition, is because it gives you the option to work with the files, but not necessarily edit the originals. So you don't need to worry about making backups and stuff like that. And so the only other thing that I really think you should see is about crossfading. So let me unmute this so we can listen to Uncle Kihei talk.
Yeah, I'm nervous about it, but
so that's Uncle Kihei talking.
Then nobody's going to hear it.
And, you know, there's kind of a little bit of conversation going on in the beginning.
Yeah, you guys are fine. We're fine. Okay, go. Okay, let's go. Cool. Yeah, shoot.
So what you'll do, like, I want to clip that out, but I want to make sure, you know, there's sections in the middle. If I want to clip it out, you're going to have to, the only thing that I've learned to do, and it's not 100% necessary, but if you start to practice it, I think you'll find that it'll provide more consistency with quality, and it's crossfading your cuts. So you can zoom in. You can easily just, you know, where's my R? You can easily just cut here and then cut, like, let's say here, if this was something that you didn't want. And you can easily just hit V, and you can click on that, and you can delete that, and it's gone. And in most cases, you can drag this right up to there and call it even. But what I found is that if you do that all the time, not often, but once in a while, right where these 2 clips have merged, you get a little pop sound. And it doesn't show up in waveform, but it does, it's audible. You can hear it. And what I've learned is what you want to do is you actually just want to drag this over, and the littlest amount of crossfade between those 2 tracks will completely negate that pop sound. Like, it'll never happen. So I've just gotten into the practice of every time I merge 2 clips, I cut and I do merge 2 clips, all of my clips get the tiniest amount of crossfade. And when you listen to it, you play it over,
Thus sharing.
You shouldn't hear a pop at all, and you really shouldn't hear any change in volume or anything because of this crossfade. Quite often, I might end up having to do huge cuts. So like, let's say this section all the way to, you know, maybe over here. And so everything in between is bad. And I'll cut that. And then because these 2 clips in real time, are so far apart from each other, things could have happened in that amount of time. Like the speaker could have started leaning to one side and moved the microphone further away from his mouth. So there could be a slight difference in volume or even ambient noise between this one and this one. So what I'll do is I'll try to make sure that when I cut it, there's plenty of this dead space between the first audible noise. And that way when I crossfade, I can overlap as much of that dead space as I possibly can. So when I bring it in, I'm looking at the tailing track, a tailing clip, and I'm looking at the head clip, and I try to overlap it so that the audible section does not enter into the crossfade area. So I'll drag this back, and I'll make sure that the crossfade is overlapping as much as possible, but not entering into, you know, the speaker's voice. And in essence, it might not sound great, but right now, because I didn't actually do a real cut. But let me just play this, and you might not have noticed it, but there was like no real break in volume or change in audible noise because of that. So that's one trick that I like to use. I should mention also that if you want to record directly into Audition, all you got to do is arm a track. So I've been using my laptop mic, which was way better than the USB mic that I bought. Nohea couldn't get, we actually had all of our mics borrowed out, lent out when I needed to do an interview. So last minute I said, I'll just go and buy a microphone. I bought the microphone. It was a cheap microphone, big mistake. My laptop's mic was way better. So if you end up in that type of a situation, you want to arm your Audition, you come over to the track that's, I'm just going to use the music bed because it's open. You come down to this one where instead of read, which is basically means you're working with it, you come over here and you, oh, sorry, not this one. This one, sorry. This arrow right here is input. This arrow is output. So I would choose, instead of none, I would choose mono because I'm only one mic and I'm basically just recording myself. It's going to say which kind of microphones you have connected to your computer. I'm going to use my built-in. And then to arm it, you just hit the R, which stands for record. The nice thing about this is you're not going to be recording on any of your other channels. It's going to record to its own channel. And of course, you can just hit the record button down here.
If people don't talk, then nobody's going to hear it.
And it was just recording Kihei's track because Kihei's track wasn't muted. If you didn't want to do that, because obviously that's a mistake right now, you just hit mute. And it's muting that track, and now you can record your own tracks here without any trouble at all. Okay? So I've got all of my tracks queued up. They're all pretty much ready to master. I've cut all of the junk noise out. I've cut all of the little blips and beeps and whatever else could possibly be in there. I've imported my intro and my outro. They're all queued up. I've imported my music bed. That's queued up. And, you know, if it's not queued up, you can just drag it left and right and drop it wherever it sounds good. Like Mohea had mentioned earlier, sometimes she likes to fade the music out when the interviewer's voice starts to come in. So I do cue everything up like that. With Audition, they do have that fade option, but I like to use keyframes. It's just, to me, it's a little more visually gratifying, I guess. Keyframes is simple. You click on this volume control level indicator and you create a keyframe there and you create a keyframe there and you take this line and you just drag it down. And you can actually drag this line like this. You can drag this line like this. You can do whatever you want. But dragging it like this is fading it out. If you want to get completely faded out, you just take that keyframe and you drop it all the way to the end like that. This is a manual fade. What I like about this manual fade is I can play with it. If it's like, oh, I want it to be a little bit louder or a little bit softer, I can actually, you know, manipulate that this way. So with Audition, you can do that. There's also the same features that Nohea had talked about with the effects. There's definitely the silence feature here. So if I did want to silence a whole section, you know, to select sections, you use the letter T, turns, of course, to a type cursor. With the type cursor, I can select, you know, like this way. And you can also delete that way also. So that's another way to do cuts. But the razor tool has always been my go-to. The T is usually for something, you know, if I need to do bigger areas, then I might do the T. But the R is usually what I like to use. And then the last thing is the Multitrack Mixdown. So once I've got everything queued up, everything looks good. I go over here. I can go to export, and then I can go to Multitrack Mixdown, and I'm going to go to entire session. go to entire session. It gives me some options. Here, I'll always do my final edit in wave format, but I don't do the final production filtering. Nohea does. So for me, she wants me to always give her the individual tracks in wave form. So down here where it says mixdown options, if I was doing the final mixdown, I would do entire session. But because I'm basically doing pre-final mixdowns, I'm going to change this. I'm not going to do a full master. I'm going to do a track masters. So it already has the tracks listed here, and I'm going to mix them individually. Basically, you know, creating final but not mixed channels. And when I do that, it'll create 3 files in wave format. One will be the host file, one will be the interview file, one will be the sound effects file, and I'll send that to Nahea. She'll import those 3 wave tracks into her magical software, which will do things that I don't have the time to learn. And that's why I love Nohea so much.
Can you
yep.
save as MP3 constant bit rate? Can I see that? I just want to see. Yeah.
So I do also do a full session mix down into MP3 here. And the reason why I do this is because at the same time I'm sending my mix down to Nohea, I'm also sending the pre-final MP3 to my interviewee, so that they can approve the content. Because it's an MP3, it's quick for me to upload, it's quick for them to download, and I let them know like there's still some final edits being done, but as far as content goes, this is what's being produced. This is what's being published. So I'll give them the MP3 just as a draft in order for them to review and give the approval.
One more I just want to throw out, see that CBR in your format settings? That's constant bit rate. And that's what, I don't know where I read this, but you need constant bit rate over variable or some time variant bit rate thingy. So if you can save or are going to save, you can save it here in Audition versus you can't save it in Audacity, or I don't know how. So, yeah.
That's the gist of Audition. There's a whole bunch of other things that you can do, but with the previous podcast workshop that I did with Kailua High School students, they got pretty much the same lesson that you got now, and 2 out of 4 kids did it perfectly. So, you know, I think these are the basic tools that you would need if you're using Audition, and, you know, I think it's good enough. Any questions?
Nope.
No question? Okay. Thank you very much.
Coco. I think we're almost done. So let me present my screen. Share. Oh, 11 minutes over. I knew it. So again, we have online instructions, same link. If you didn't read it, go ahead and read it. It's very specific. So what we showed you.
On Audition was free, or you have to purchase.
Audition depends. So normally you have to purchase it. It's part of like the Adobe suite. So if you have access to Adobe suite, and this is what Kaiko was saying, that if you're a student, usually you have access to the Adobe suite. If you're a student, so you can get it for free, but normally you have to pay for it.
There's actually there is an educator's discount for Audition. I don't think it's free, but I do know that most schools in the DOE system have access as long as they have a CTE program. Things might be changing, but as of right now, status quo is if you have a digital media or CTE arts program at your school, you have access. And even WCC also had access. So that was provided to all of the students and the teachers. Oh, and then one thing that I should mention is that with Adobe now, you don't have to get the entire Creative Cloud, which is all of their apps. You can just choose to purchase the apps that you need to use. License the apps that you need to use. So I think it's like $99 for the cloud for the whole suite and $19 for just one app. It may have changed, but I think that's what it was. Thank you.
Somebody who had a question? Nope. Okay. Right. So Ha'avina, forgot what I asked people to do. Record you and a friend on Audacity or Skype, depending.
Yeah, you're muted.
Okay, back. So the Ha'avina for you guys is to do a recording, depending on what you think you're going to be doing, how you're going to be doing recordings. Upload it into Audacity, Audition, whichever one you want, and then start editing. Remove stuff you don't want in there. Play with the amplitude if you need to get it around 80%. Listen for reverb. I'm not going to teach you how to get rid of that yet. But things it's good to see it on the screen and then listen to it and listen for what you don't like in the quality, and then see it on screen to see if you can get rid of it. It's kind of the exercise. Extra credit, determine what music you want and record your intros and outros. We're always available, so this is an opportunity. If you guys know what you want, get our feedback or help you develop these things. We're very willing to do so. Is there questions? Nope. No. We also lend out our equipment. I actually don't have any equipment right now. We have it in Tahiti, Texas, Chicago. Oh wait, Ikaika has one pair. So.
Back been using Squadcast.
What is that? Squadcast?
I said I might be sending mine back because I've been using Squadcast.
Yeah. So. All right. Thank you everybody for attending. It's over 2 hours. Sorry, but it's a lot. So hopefully, if you have questions, let us know. Okay.
Normally, like really long. Or podcast.
Wow, thank you.
Okay. Stop.